Alrighty, welcome back to another video. It is finally time for Soul Exchange. Can you believe this is actually Soul Exchange number 15 that we have done? Ever since it came out in 2022, I believe it was February. Yeah, it's been around for 3 years right now. So, well, we've been trading souls for 3 years just to get something that we hope that we will be using until well, the next couple of years. How well that has gone. Well, to be fair, I still like my first soul exchange ever was Garden Chameleon, and I still use Garden Chameleon sometimes for Mythic Titans. So I guess I'm still using my first ever soul exchange. I think one of the ones that I don't use anymore is like Asterius. I think that's the one I picked, and I right now I don't use at all. There's some others as well that I don't use. Um, Ludwig, for example, I think I don't use Ludwig anymore. I did pick Ludwig over Alfrag at that time. Guan Yu, even with the costume, I rarely use Guan Yu anymore just because minions are not really part of the meta right now, so that's why we don't really use it. Um, and then I remember picking like Quintin and stuff like that, and I don't use them. But anyways, that's in the past. We are back with number 15, and it's actually some very, very interesting picks here. Now, I don't want to touch on every hero here. Suffice to say that some of these heroes are just, I would say, fillers in this soul exchange, and I will not recommend anyone to pick them. Regardless, they are still interesting heroes. Now let me just pick the ones. Let me just say which ones are the ones that I would rather you guys don't pick. The first one is Aviana. Now she's a hero of the month, which is why, if you have already pulled during this, when she was first released in 2024, I don't know whether they show it here. Now I do have Aviana leveled and limit broken. I was trying to use her for. At that time, we were trying to mix around with like yellow teams because there were a lot of purple tanks around at that time. And then I realized, probably not so good, but it's still kind of interesting. I still kind of like her utility, and it's only because of the stats. The stats are a bit shitty at first limit break because I will not spend alphas or master emblems for her. But I will not recommend anyone to pick Aviana for a soul exchange, even if you want to collect. Because come on, at this point, heroes are so valuable right now that I would rather you just don't like pick any other thing out of that 10 hero slot than to pick Aviana. Unfortunately, there's also one from the 10 hero slot where I would not suggest you guys pick. The other one is Hallstone. Now, Hallstone is interesting. I also have him limit broken. I also have him maxed. And he's, at first I thought I could, find a way to use him. And then I realized it's just not good enough because, look, he doesn't have a full, like, there's no healing component for him, even though he's a support. The only heal that you get is from his repair core, and that's only when he takes damage. So, yeah, I really don't think this Hallstone is any good, apart from, at that point he was like the newest thing, and everybody was thought, hey, you know what, we could use Hallstone as a tank. No, fuck no. At full HP, allies get 50% attack for 3 turns and 30% defense. That's wonderful, right? But how many times will you get this effect if you are not at full health? At some point in the middle of the battle, you would have taken some hits, and if you don't have health boost, you won't get this full HP toolbox effect. Most likely, what you'll get is the plus 50% defense and plus 34% mana generation, which is okay, but not the one that you want if you're going very aggressive. Below 50% HP, sure, you get a little bit of heal. Regenerates 810 HP. I'm sorry to say there's Astral Dwarves right now. By the time you regenerate some of those HP, those Astral Dwarves will be like, hey, I'm going to use my passives and I'm going to dispel this shit. And yeah, you're not going to get anything out of this. So really, I think Hearthstone is not something I would pick here. The other one I wouldn't pick as well is Erlang Shen. Only because I don't think he will come up with a costume anytime soon. Now if they come up with a costume, maybe he'll be viable. But right now, because of the way they changed this, if the effect is removed before the duration ends thingy, you can't replace Erlang Shen's effect and cause the damage with another Erlang Shen. You have to use something that is different, a different form of attack down, which becomes really annoying because not all attack downs can work with Erlang Shen. You look at the current situation with Pepper Flame, which is the same effect essentially, right, with defense down. So if you use Pepper Flame, you can't use another Pepper Flame, you can't use a Star Walker, you can't use a Prophet, you can't even use, let's say for example, if you have Pepper Flame, you can't even use Costume Marjana, the second Costume Marjana, which gives defense down. You can't even use that. You have to pair Pepper Flame. I don't even know who you pair it with. Pepper Flame is one of the dead ones. I don't even... Oh, with Sun Shangxiang, which is like the 4-star red that has the defense down equal to like Athena's. Which is so bad. You're never going to use that in war. The same thing, now the reason why I never talked about Tinsel is because Tinsel is one of the activators that you can use together with a Prophet, together with a Star Walker, together with a Pepper Flame, because her defense down is slightly different because it's a negative 14% defense and a further 5% decrease for each ice shield up to 54 defense. Apparently the game reads this as a different type of defense down, which means it overrides Prophet or Star Walker's ability, in which case the damage from those ailments being removed early will take effect. So which is why I think it's still okay to take Tinsel if you already have someone like Prophet and you need a good pairing with it. But not Erlang Shen. I don't think there are any ones that could change his ailment, that could switch his ailment in order to trigger the damage effect. There's not many in terms of attack down, and the ones that you would pair Erlang Shen with is someone like Christine Day, and Christine Day is already outdated, so to speak. So I will not recommend anyone to pick Erlang Shen right now. Now, if the costume comes out in the next couple of months, sure, maybe you'll regret not picking your excuse me, your second Erlang Shen. But really, I think Erlang Shen's time is over. I not gonna lie, I really like Erlang Shen, so much so that I have Erlang Shen sitting on my bench right now, and I really wish they had buffed him up or make him relevant in the current meta. But I don't use him anymore, and I don't even use him for War of the Three Kingdoms because it's that bad in terms of stats right now. So yeah, I will not recommend anyone picking Erlang Shen. I also don't recommend anyone picking Garten, even though his stats are okay. It's just that there's not really much good pairings you can use with Garten, unless you're brave and you're still using the Hippo teams in war these days. I know there is a French content creator, I think his name is Wyams YouTube, who uses one or maybe two Hippo teams, and I'm not sure whether he has Garten. I do believe he has Prophet and costume Perseus. Yeah, but Garten doesn't deal that much damage, and it's not really, it overlaps, his utility overlaps with costume Perseus, so it's not really something that you would want to use, and so I wouldn't recommend Garten in this position. Also, the fact that because the construct heroes resist special skill blocking still does not block Bernadette from turning it into a painting, I will not recommend this at all. So definitely not Garten. And the fifth one that I will not recommend is Star Walker himself, just because the damage is too low. I feel like 200% damage to all enemies is bad, is not as good these days. 450 extra damage to the target has boosted health, sure, but it's only 450. And yeah, this defense thing again is it's the same conundrum, right? Like you would pair Prophet with Tinsel because Prophet is a hit tree, Tinsel is a hit tree. Starwalker is just a little bit different, and I don't see it. I don't see it jiving at all. So I think Starwalker has passed its like strength and usage these days. So much so that I will not recommend it, especially at 20 souls. You would rather trade it for something else. Now there are some here which are pretty mid, I would say, where you would take it if you don't have the top tiers. Now I'm going to talk about the top tier heroes that you would pick here before I go to the mid ones. That way I cover everyone. So the top ones that I'm going to think of are Carmenta. So Carmenta is really good for events and in terms of spreading ailments that you want to hit to others around the target. So the common one that you use Carmenta with is Torben, the red Knights hero. So basically what Torben does is he puts defense down onto a target, hits him with an ailment where if allies take that if the target allies take damage, the target also receives that amount of damage. So what you can do is you cast Torben first, and then you use Carmenta to push out the damage to the flanks, the ones who are flanking the target, and that way you have a so-called hit tree before you deal this 495% damage to a target and minor damage to nearby enemies. So Carmenta is pretty okay if you pair it with someone like Torben, if you even pair it with the new one which is Irleif, or if you want to go all out in like tower events. I'm pretty sure the new Astral Dwarf Hygeal works really well with Carmenta. The only thing is I believe you will only use that for the impossible floors. So if you are someone who wants to do well in towers, I believe this is one of those cases that you can do. Otherwise, you won't really want to pick Carmenta here. But I would say Carmenta makes it to the top just because of her utility and how it's very unique. It's something that's unique, and it's something that helps you in certain aspects of the game. If you're a late game player and you're trying to min-max and trying to hit achievements in order for you to continue forth in this game, I think Carmenta is pretty okay. The next one that I'm going to look at is Uwe. Now Uwe makes it to the top because his stats are relatively new and he deals a shitload of damage. So don't underestimate Uwe. Like I underestimated him pretty bad when he was first released, and I got shit on it. I got shit on straight. When he just hits one target, and if the target has less than 50% health, he just chains his attack all the way, and my team just gets wiped. So Uwe is interesting because, first of all, 10 souls is pretty good economical value. You're only trading 10 souls for someone that hits really, really hard. Now, no doubt he's slow. There's a lot of mana accelerators right now that would make him pretty okay to use in normal wars as well. And you would want him to fire late anyways, because you would want to deal as much damage as you can to other targets to make sure that they are less than 50% health. Ideally, you want to hit, say, maybe 2, 3, the best is 4 targets with less than 50% health, and then you just fire Uwe and you can try to wipe the whole team if you have like defense down ailments to help him out. So Uwe makes it to the top because I think he's like really, really good in those kind of circumstances. The next one I'm going to look at the top is Acidfire. Now, unfortunately, the Mythic Titan Infinite Mana Loop is being reworked. So by the time you see the next Mythic Titan, which will happen, I believe, on the 14th of September, the Mana Loop will not work apart from maybe using Bramble? I don't know. But yeah, Acidfire was one of the components that you would need in that Mana Loop team. Now, aside from that, Acidfire is still okay in the sense that he's one of those unique ones that give wither of attack and defense, apart from a really good hit tree and the fact that they reflect status effect buffs back to you. So, in a world where there's a lot of Gurik going around, I think Acidfire can make it to a team of to a 4 stack, either a 4 stack or a 3 stack depending on who you're using. So I would use Acidfire together with, like, if I pick Acidfire, I would use him together with someone like Gongov plus Guntus, something like that, so that they have the Wither. And Wither is one of the best ways to counter Gurik as well, because the Wither remains even if they are revived. So it's actually one of the good ways to kind of go the long game against Gurik. So this is why I think Acidfire still remains one of the top picks that you can use here. You can use him for everything. Events, you can use him for Mythic Titans, you can use him for Titans, you can use him for War, you can use him for farming, everything. You can pretty much use Acidfire everywhere. So I think Acidfire is still one of the higher picks that I would consider here. The next top pick that I would choose is Bastet. Now, the only reason why I picked Bastet here is because he comes with a costume. So a tip that you would want to look here is if they show the costume version of that hero in the Soul Exchange, it means you are getting the costume as well. And the only reason why Bastet is one of my top picks in this event is because with the costume, he's actually, first of all, very relevant stats in the current meta. Has dodge chances. Now, no doubt there's a lot of heroes running around with never misses his targets, blah blah blah. He's still okay in terms of helping your team survive against heroes that don't have that effect. And then you also have this effect on special skill, 50% chance to perform the following actions, so you get 70% damage to all enemies and you dispel the latest dispellable buff. Now, with the costume, you also have this passive, extra chance for effects on special skill. So when they cast, any of their passive skills that grant extra effects on cast have 3 chances to activate. So you can have this activate up to 3 times, which means you deal 70% damage, you dispel 1 buff, you hit it again, you dispel another buff, you hit it again, you dispel another buff. So you can dispel up to 3 buffs, which is actually pretty good for a fast speed hero. It's actually pretty decent, which is why I rank Bastet higher a little bit than Acidfire, because I think Dispel and Cleanse in this economy, it's still really strong to use, and which is why I would think Bastet will be really strong here. He also has another passive here, which is you gain mana every time they receive a status ailment or a negative stack, which happens every now and then, which can trigger every now and then, which makes him which might make him go very fast speed instead, which helps a lot. So I think Bastet really good here in terms of stats, and if you want the latest hero in terms of stats, Bastet is the highest out of all the 15 that are here right now, and he's only beaten out by one other hero, which I believe in a vacuum is the best pick that you can pick here, Garten. Why? Garten is one of the only heroes that will help your insanity heroes resist insanity inflicted onto themselves. The only other one that can work, well, there's 2. One is Prophet, the other one is Guffa. Guffa is a slow red hero, which means the speed doesn't add up together with like Omen or Rosanna, or there's one more red insanity hero, I don't remember the name. So Guffa is slow and the rest of them are like fast and average, which means timing is almost impossible to match. Prophet is fast speed, but the blue insanity heroes are mostly average speed and slow speed. You have that the Salvatore. You have the blue Taunter, which is average speed, and then you have like, what's the other blue one? The guy that has the face up and looks like he's from the mafia ages, where he could just punch the living daylights out of you. That's also average speed, which means Prophet again has timing issues. But if you use Garten together with like Edward, together with like Zavinia, Garten prevents them from having insanity inflicted onto themselves, which is really, really, really good. So apart from all that, even if you don't use Garten for the Insanity Heroes, the fact that he boosts health of all allies by 700, reduces max health of all enemies by 700, and at the same time, all allies are immune to new status ailments that affect healing for 4 turns. That one not so good, not so interesting, but all allies get soft skin is the one that you really want because it helps you in quite a lot of ways. First of all, status ailments, which means you don't get any of the status ailments that are gonna impact your team. Defense down, burn, all that random shenanigans from those Untold Tales 1 and 2 Untold Tale 2 heroes. And then mana reductions from like Fergus and things like that if you're still facing him in the meta. And then Insanity. So pretty good, pretty strong overall utility. Garten is really one of the stronger picks to come out in Soul Exchange. Even with those data stats. Right now everybody's like pushing 1,500, 1,600 team hero power. He's only at 1,389, but in terms of utility, he's one of the best. So, based on that, the rest of them are just mid. I feel like Lazara is mid. Sure, Cleanser status ailments safely is really strong. But other than that, there's nothing very much. I think the nice thing about this is negative 50% decrease for any healing is actually kind of fun. But I don't see, people using Lazara more often. And then the 2 owls here, Lodius and Relius. Well, Relius is a good reviver, but the owls are getting very, very, very outdated. So to the point where I don't think they're any good at all. And then Brimstone. I really like Brimstone, but his damage just is not doing it. Like back in the day, Brimstone was really annoying to deal with just because at that point of time, his damage was actually significant. Right now, it's just mid, which is why he's mid. So yeah, I think in this case, a lot of people will go for Garten because of his utility. And if not, there's Acidfire and then there's Bastet as well. So it'll be nice to, get all these heroes and pretty much use them to good effect, seeing how they can be relevant in the meta. Now, if you ask me what my pick would be, unfortunately, I don't have any Insanity heroes that I would want to pair with. In fact, the Insanity heroes that I want to pair with has nothing to do with Garten. I have Gwendolyn, which I'm still trying to get her to use in war properly, which I've not managed to. Maybe because I'm dumb, I don't know, but yeah, I haven't been able to use Gwendolyn. And then the other Insanity hero that I really want to use is Rosanna, because I really like Rosanna, so I think Rosanna is fun to use as well. And she's red, so I'm not going to use Garten with it. Also, I have too many greens that I would really want to level right now. So I think for me, I don't think I'll pick Garten. The only thing that I'm thinking of is that in the coming month, there are actually going to be new Insanity heroes that are coming out. And some of those Insanity heroes, pun intended, are simply insane. There's one stupidly broken one, which I really hope they change from beta. So maybe that's an option to choose Garten, just so that you can pair with it. Coincidentally, that broken Insanity hero is green, but I do believe it's slow instead of average speed. I might be wrong, but I think with that in mind, with that information in mind, if you are aiming to pull for that Insanity heroes that are coming out, or if you have multiple Atwoods that you would want a healer to work with Atwood, you would definitely pick Garten here. I think it's a no-brainer. And the more Gartens you have, the more Insanity heroes that you can use with for different war teams as well. Now, if you ask me, I am leaning towards either Acidfire, just because I like the goblins, and it still remains one of the goblins that I actually really want. There's a team running around with like triple Acidfire, which is like similar to triple Demiloon, although Demiloon is slightly better. But Acidfire can be really strong as well, and I would really like to use Acidfire together with my Gongov and Gangta's pair, just to make sure that they can, they can synergize well and work together with another purple hero that I'm trying to work with. Maybe it's a 4-stack against Gurik, so that might be it. The other one that I'm thinking of picking is Costume Bastet, because with the hero coach coming, I do believe, I might be wrong again, with the new hero coach coming out, I do believe Bastet is able to be leveled using the hero coach, which means I only need to focus on the costume, which is fine. I do have a lot of costumes that I can use to feed. So yeah, maybe I would pick Bastet here. I'm not entirely sure. The one thing that's hampering me as well is I don't have much sorcerer emblems anymore, because all the latest heroes that I'm trying to level are mostly sorcerers, which means I'll run out of them pretty fast. But I don't have a wizard that I'm trying to level right now. A ranger that I'm trying to level right now. So maybe that's actually a benefit to picking Bastet here. Now, there's still another 2 more days to mull this over. I will release this video without making my pick, but I will show you guys my pick probably in a YouTube short. I just want to, weigh in my thoughts on this whole exchange first, so that everybody gets the information they need in order for you to make your decision. Again, there's 2 more days, so don't rush into it. Take your time, and have a look at your roster. Figure out which ones you would want, which would benefit your roster the most. You would pick Garten because there are Insanity heroes in your roster that you can pair him with. But if you don't have any Insanity heroes, then maybe you should look at other heroes in this Soul Exchange that might actually help your roster. It doesn't necessarily have to be Garten. Everybody's going to pick Garten. Even I'm thinking of picking Garten. But as I mentioned, I don't have any Insanity heroes that I can work him with, and I certainly don't intend on pulling much for the Insanity portals because they're so expensive. So yeah, I think I might go with either one of the purples here. And in fact, if I were to share with you guys as well, the third pick that I'm considering is actually Carmenta, just because I have Irlif, so I could essentially run Irlif and Carmenta together. So who knows? I have not fully decided yet. Also, it kind of sucks that she's a sorcerer as well. Jeez. Yeah, I have not decided just yet, so I'm just letting you know what my top 3 picks are for myself. Good. Well, this is not really a good luck, because you pretty much have it. If you don't have, the required 20 heroes, you can bank on 15 or 10, or you can give this. Honestly, you can give this Soul Exchange a miss as well, a pass as well, because honestly, none of these heroes will actually function much in the meta right now, unless you pair them with specific heroes. Then maybe, something good comes out of it. But again, don't rush. Make your decision wisely. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. GG.